Hey everybody, Tim Ulbrich here. Happy New Year, and thank you for listening to the YFP podcast, where each week we strive to inspire and encourage you on your path towards achieving financial freedom. I hope everyone is enjoying the holiday season, has had a chance to reflect on 2021, and is ready to chart a path forward for 2022. This week, I'm flying solo to talk through 5 financial moves that you should consider making in 2022 to accelerate your financial plan. Specifically, I talked through the importance of setting both quantitative and qualitative financial goals, some ideas for how you can button up your financial record-keeping systems and use the turn of the new year as a chance to revisit and update those important financial documents, considerations for how to optimize your tax situation in 2022, and briefly, I talked through some of the considerations around student loans, considering the end of the administrative forbearance that is right around the corner. I recognize that many listeners may not be aware of what the team at YFP Planning does in working one-on-one with more than 240 households in 40 plus states. YFP Planning offers fee-only high-touch financial planning that is customized for the pharmacy professional. If you're interested in learning more about how working one-on-one with a certified financial planner may help you achieve your financial goals, you can book a free discovery call at yfpplanning.com. Whether or not YFP Planning's financial planning services are a good fit for you, know that we appreciate your support of this podcast and our mission to help pharmacists achieve financial freedom. Happy New Year to the YFP community. Let's jump right in with 5 financial moves that you may consider in 2022. Now, we know that every new year is a chance to turn the page, right? To reset. And yes, it's just an artificial point in time, and a day that really is no different than any other day, except for some tax reasons. And for those of you that might have some benefits that are changing, compensation and so forth with the new year. But really, it's any other day of the year, right? However, it's an opportunity for us that we can take advantage to reset our financial plan, right? To refocus where we're trying to go in both defining and achieving our financial goals. So perhaps for some of you, you're listening and saying, you know what, I feel pretty good. I feel like I'm on track. And this might be an opportunity to remind yourself of the plan that you've set and celebrating some of the success and wins that you've had along the way. For others, maybe you're listening to this and say, you know what, at one point I had a good plan, but I feel like I'm off track for whatever reason. This is an opportunity, of course, to reset that course and make sure we've got that vision clear heading into the year. And finally, for those that are saying, what plan, right? And rightfully so, for many, they've got multiple competing financial priorities, perhaps feeling overwhelmed with how to best tackle those individual priorities and to put them all together in one plan moving in the same direction. Today is an opportunity to begin to set that path, to put those ideas, those priorities on paper and begin to have that plan for how we're going to execute those into the future. So let's walk through 5 financial moves that you may consider either making, or perhaps for those of you that are already doing some of these things, to refresh or improve in these areas. Number 1 is setting both quantitative and qualitative financial goals. Shout out here to the planning team at YFP Planning that does an awesome job of finding the balance between living a rich life today and caring for our future self. As Tim Baker says, it can't just be about the ones and zeros in the bank account. So as you set your financial goals for 2022, yes, let's focus on those important quantitative things, right? The things that we talk about often on this show. It could be how much you want to move the needle on the net worth or your assets minus liabilities. What we talk about in the book, 7-Figure Pharmacist, as your financial vitals check. Or perhaps you're thinking about how much progress you want to make on any outstanding debt, or how much you plan to save in various investment accounts. Or for those of you that have been thinking about real estate investing for some time after listening to David and Nate on the YFP Real Estate Investing podcast, maybe you've been thinking about how much you need to save to pull the trigger on that first property. So those quantitative goals are really important. We need to be thinking about those and planning for those. But let's not lose sight of those qualitative goals that help keep us focused on living that rich life today while also planning for the future. So perhaps we have some newlyweds that are listening that have a long lost honeymoon to take that the pandemic disrupted. What's the plan to make that a reality, and who is keeping you accountable? Or for some, maybe you've been considering making a move to part-time or reducing hours for whatever reason. Again, what's the opportunity here? Have we evaluated that? What's the plan to begin to see that through? Or how about those interests and hobbies that we used to long for, we used to spend time on and prioritize, that have gotten lost in the busyness of life and work? How is that going to be a priority and a focus? Or perhaps that side hustle, business, project that you've been dragging your feet on to take the first step on. So let's make this year, 2022, the year that we move the needle on both our quantitative and our qualitative goals. And while goals are good, accountability is where it's at. I've seen the power of accountability in my own life, and I want to see you achieve your 2020 financial goals. So here's my offer. If you email me with 1 to 2 of your top goals, perhaps one qualitative and one quantitative, along with your why and motivation for achieving that goal, I'll reach out a couple times this year to check in, see how you're doing, and perhaps provide some motivation along the way. You can send me an email at tulbrich, that's TULBRICH, at yourfinancialpharmacist.com. Put episode 237 with your first name in the subject line so I don't miss it, and I look forward to hearing from several of you. All right, so that's number 1, setting both our quantitative and our qualitative goals. Number 2 is we have to take our tax strategy to the next level. Tax, in my opinion, is one of the most underappreciated and overlooked parts of the financial plan. Think of tax as a thread that runs across your financial plan that must be proactively considered and evaluated when making financial moves. Now, this sounds so obvious, but I used to view tax very much in the rearview mirror, right? Filing each year by April 15th to meet the IRS requirements and to account for what happened the previous year, and to ultimately hold my breath, and I would either get a refund, aka paid too much throughout the year, let someone else hold on to my money for a while, or I'd have a payment due, less than ideal for obvious reasons and indicative that I could have done more proactive planning. And so we need to shift our attention from tax preparation to tax planning, a very important distinction that YFP Director of Tax and IRS Enrolled Agent Paul Eichenberg talked about on episode 233 of the podcast, along with other strategies for how to optimize your tax situation. So if you don't already know your key numbers, things like your marginal tax rate, your effective tax rate, your adjusted gross income, it's time to nerd out a little bit. Let's make a commitment this year to start there. These numbers help give us insights into why tax planning and being proactive is so important. AGI, one example, adjusted gross income, has important implications on student loan payments, especially for those that are pursuing public service loan forgiveness through an income-driven repayment plan. And of course, certain phase outs on childcare credits, IRA contributions, student loan interest deduction, and more. And so some of the common mistakes that we run into, and some that I've made myself, is number 1, having an unexpected balance due on April 15th, right? Less than ideal. This could be due to under withholding throughout the year, perhaps unaccounting for self-employment earnings and tax. And unique this year would be for those that have been taking advanced child credits and making sure that we're accounting for that and expecting that when we go to file in early this spring. Another common mistake that we see, number 2, is having non-qualified IRA or 401k, 403b contributions from over-contributing. Obviously creates a lot of headaches for both the preparer as well as for the individual to correct, and misunderstanding of the rules around Roth and traditional phase outs is often what is causing this problem. And number 3, in terms of common mistakes, would be missing deductions and credits that are applicable. And so, of course, beyond these mistakes, there's opportunities to optimize our situation. HSAs, health savings accounts. We talked about this on episode 165 in terms of the power of an HSA and why, from a tax standpoint, this is one of those optimization strategies. Other optimization strategies we see that is frequent among clients would be deducting qualified business related expenses for those that are side hustling or for those that own a business. And of course, the many benefits that are available for those that have children or childcare expenses, including the childcare credit, dependent care FSAs, child tax credits, and 529s. And as Paul helped me understand, some of the strategies for bunching itemized deductions for further tax efficiency. So it's easy to see the value of a good proactive tax plan and why it's worth its weight in gold. And so for those that have not yet checked out episode 233, how to optimize your tax strategy, I hope you will do that. Also, we understand at YFP that filing your taxes and figuring out how to optimize your strategy can be stressful. And that's why YFP Tax this year is opening up its tax filing services to 125 additional pharmacist households. And so you can visit yourfinancialpharmacist.com/tax to learn more, put your name on the wait list, and we'll be in touch from there. Again, that's yourfinancialpharmacist.com/tax. Number 3 is button up your financial documents. Not necessarily the most exciting part of the financial plan, but the new year is a great time that we revisit things like our insurance policies, our savings accounts, right? Retirement accounts, looking at beneficiaries. Is that information correct? Do we need to update anything? I also think here about the concept of a legacy folder. I first heard of the idea of a legacy folder when taking Dave Ramsey's FPU, Financial Peace University class, and remember thinking, wow, what's so obvious yet so important, and something that my wife Jess and I had not done yet at the time. So essentially the idea of a legacy folder, whether it's physical, electronic, or both, is a place where you have all of your financial related documents so that in the event of an emergency, others would be able to quickly assess your financial situation, get access to those documents and accounts that pertain to your finances. So this type of folder could include things like birth certificates, social security cards, marriage certificates, passports, insurance policies, wills and powers of attorney, login information for accounts, and so on. And I think one of the benefits of putting this document together is it also tends to spur good conversation that might allow you to also look at other parts of the plan that have been either ignored or just perhaps need to be updated. Speaking of some of the wills and powers of attorneys, we think about the estate planning side of the financial plan. That's another part I think about here in buttoning up your financial documents. So if you haven't yet listened to episode 222, why estate planning is such an important part of the financial plan, we had Nathan and Note Song from Thoughtful Wills that talked about the different parts of the estate plan, why that's so important, who should be considering the estate planning process, and how that fits into the rest of your financial plan. Again, not the most exciting part of the plan to think about, but really important, and using the new year as an opportunity to refresh or to set that information for the first time. Number 4 is revisit your student loan game plan. Now, what we know as of the first of the year is that the extension of the administrative forbearance is expiring January 31st, 2022. So now is the time, right? We've got to have a plan in place. We had several extensions of that forbearance dating back to the beginning of the pandemic in March 2020, and all signals are pointing to that this is the end. Last week, episode 236, certified financial planner, lead planner at YFP Planning, Kelly Reddy Hefner, joined me to talk about some common questions around student loan refinancing, including who should and should not refinance, how you evaluate multiple offers, some of the considerations for refinance as one of many different repayment options that are out there, and some of the timing questions of when potentially to refinance as we look at the end of that administrative forbearance period. So this is a great time. I've talked many times on this show, as reiterated last week, that the decisions around student loan repayment, when we think about the average debt of a pharmacy graduate today, around $170,000. We think about not only the amount of that debt, but the various options that are available, both federal, private, forgiveness, non-forgiveness, taking the time to understand the nuances of student loan repayment and to ultimately find and adopt the strategy that is best for your personal situation is time well spent. So if you're looking for more information about which student loan repayment option is best for your personal situation, looking for one-on-one help to make that decision, we have a student loan analysis service that we offer. You can learn more at yourfinancialpharmacist.com/SLA. This is a one-on-one service that we have with one of our certified financial planners at YFP Planning that will help you inventory your loans, federal and private, evaluate eligible repayment options, including loan forgiveness, income-driven repayment, private refinancing, and ultimately help you determine the best repayment strategy for your personal situation. So again, yourfinancialpharmacist.com/SLA, and you can use the coupon code YFP for 10% off. Number 5 is set your learning plan. At YFP, one of our core values is optimize you. And we believe that when we live as the best version of ourselves, we're more likely to achieve our goals. And we believe that for ourselves, for our team, and for you, the YFP community. And so what are some opportunities to learn? Of course, podcasts, you're listening to this one. For those that are interested in real estate investing, I hope you have checked out the YFP Real Estate Investing podcast that David Bright and Nate Hedrick are doing a great job releasing episodes each Saturday. Bigger Pockets, another great resource if you're looking at information resources on real estate. Some of the books that might make it to your reading list in 2022, some of the classics, my favorites, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Next Door. A couple other books that have been favorites of mine over the past couple of years, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, The Truth About Money by Rick Edelman, Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright, for those that are looking to dig a little bit more into the tax strategy and part of the plan, The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach, The Behavioral Investor by Daniel Crosby, Happy Money, this one by Elizabeth Dunn, Michael Norton, looking at the science of happier spending. So just a few ideas of ways that you can learn in terms of personal finance books. And certainly learning is one thing, but learning plus action plus accountability is where things really start to happen. So my hope is you'll find a community and you'll find a coach for accountability and guidance. If you're not yet a part of the YFP Facebook group, I hope you'll join more than 7,000 pharmacy professionals across the country that are really committed to helping empower and encourage one another in the financial plan. You can join that group if you're not already part. And for those that are looking at one-on-one planning, YFP Planning offers accountability and customization of the financial plan specific to pharmacy professionals. And you can learn more at yfpplanning.com. You can schedule a discovery call today to see whether or not those planning services are a good fit for you. So thank you so much for joining me again. Happy New Year to the YFP community, looking to a great year that's ahead. And my hope is you'll be able to take these 5 financial moves for 2022 and begin to apply them in your own plan. As we conclude this week's podcast, an important reminder that the content on this show is provided to you for informational purposes only and is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for investment or any other advice. Information in the podcast and corresponding materials should not be construed as a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any investment or related financial products. We urge listeners to consult with a financial advisor with respect to any investment. Furthermore, the information contained in our archived newsletters, blog posts, and podcasts is not updated and may not be accurate at the time you listen to it on the podcast. Opinions and analyses expressed herein are solely those of your financial pharmacist unless otherwise noted, and constitute judgments as of the dates published. Such information may contain forward-looking statements which are not intended to be guarantees of future events. Actual results could differ materially from those anticipated in the forward-looking statements. For more information, please visit yourfinancialpharmacist.com/disclaimer. Thank you again for your support of the Your Financial